Oma Gyan Timirandasya Gyanangana Shalakaya Chaksu Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadantishva Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you everyone very much for inviting me here to this beautiful temple in such an august assembly of devotees at the lotus feet of the all-merciful Jagannath, Subhadra, Holiday, and our beloved Srila Prabhupada. Very happy to be here. Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning. We're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. And I thought this morning we'd speak from Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by our beloved Srila Prabhupada. I just opened the book, the Granth, and it was 4th chapter, verse number 11. So many of you are scholars, you know very well this verse, but let's chant it today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yayata mam papadyante tam tataiva bhajam yaham mamam avart mano varte manushya partha sarvasha. All of them, as they surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Partha. And then we have Srila Prabhupada's illustrious purport. Everyone is searching for Krishna in different aspects of his manifestations. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence, and as the all-pervading Super-Soul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is only fully realized by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as a devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as the Supreme Master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally according to their different intensities of love for him. So this is a very popular and well-known verse. You could say Bhagavad Gita, as elevated as it is, it's an introductory course into the science of self-realization. From here we go on to the Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam. Granth means book and Raj means king, so Srimad Bhagavatam is the king of all scriptures. And then for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who are fortunate enough to have come in contact with the Yuga Avatar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have Kaviraj Goswami's Chaitanya Charitamrita. And one time, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said that was his favorite book, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur his illustrious father, he said one day people around the world, in America, Argentina, Canada, Mongolia, Australia, they'll learn Bengali just to be able to read the Chaitanya Charitamrita in its original essence. So we have these books, but we all see ourselves as aspiring transcendentalists. Prabhupada said, therefore the Bhagavad Gita is to be spoken in the evening when we invite guests to learn, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. But then amongst ourselves, generally in the morning, we have Bhagavatam, X, Y, Z. We have everything that's required to learn how to tread carefully in this world without getting deviated, no mistakes, and to eventually leave this world and enter the spiritual world. After all, this world is just a perverted reflection. The spiritual world is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. This is conversely the opposite. It's not eternal, it's temporary. It's not full of knowledge, it's full of ignorance. And it's certainly not full of bliss. Just toda toda. That's my Hindi, I'm sorry. Toda toda. But pertinent. Just a little happiness. So that's our goal. So Bhagavad Gita helps us in all aspects. But this is actually, this verse is quite deep. In the beginning, we're learning the basic, Krishna Consciousness 101, we say in America. You take your first course in Psychology 101. So Bhagavad Gita's, the first chapters are Krishna Conscious Philosophy 101. Aham Brahmasmi, not aham mameti. I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. I'm the particle of spirit soul that manipulates this gross body. I met one doctor, he told me the other day, the body's only 72% water. And I always tell people in the West, if you think you're a body, then you're the body. Are you a bag of water? Your science, your medicine, apart from spirituality, is telling you that you're not, that you're the body. But your scientists say, and your doctors say, the body is 72% water. So is that you? Are you a bag of water? No, sir. What are you? I don't know. Krishna says, your spirit soul. Like this. This is the basic understanding. It's not an easy thing to overcome the concept that I am the body, or that the body transmigrates at the moment of death. These are basic instructions. The first couple of chapters. Here we're in the fourth chapter, and Krishna's getting into some really devotional, rasic topics. He's saying to his devotees, all of you, as you surrender unto me, I reward you accordingly. You don't have this concept in the West, because in the West, with all due respect, and it's rightfully so, we first establish ourselves as servants of the Lord. He's the master, and we're the servants. Nothing more, nothing less. That's fully satisfied. We're created to serve Krishna. That's our philosophy, master and servant. But there in the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's already saying, Krishna can become your friend. In Goloka Vrindavan, you can wrestle with him in the sands of Raman Reti. You can have a parental relationship with Krishna. You can see him like your son, like the elderly gopis. You know how mothers are. They see Krishna like that. Lala, Maya. And for some special souls, they see Krishna as their lover. This is all there. Fourth chapter, Prabhupada's already speaking like this. Prabhupada has given us everything. So in this way we see how the Lord is ready to reciprocate with us. He's been waiting a long time. Brahmanda Brahmatikon Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasad Bhai Bhakti Lak Bij. Kaviraj Goswami says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that since we fell from grace, since we made the cardinal sin, bahir mukh, turning our face from God. If you're speaking to someone and you turn your face away, that's very offensive. When my mother used to be talking to me, son, look at me. Well, I'm telling you, look at me when I'm talking to you. Boys, your mother ever said like that? Like, listen, I'm speaking to you, listen to me. So Bahir Mukh, we turned our face, Jagadananda Pandit and Prema Vivarta, turned our face, and therefore we came. Bangalore. What? Prison house of material existence. No. But at some point in everyone's sojourn through material existence, we come to the point of giving up this futile struggle for material life, and everyone at some point will turn back to Krishna. And as soon as we do, he's giving us an indication that as much as we surrender to him, he will reciprocate. It's actually said that Krishna is more eager for us to come back to the spiritual world than we are. And he's always ready to give himself fully to his devotees. Nevertheless, if a devotee is only 25% surrendered, Krishna gives himself 25%. This is transcendental mathematics. If I want to be a devotee, but if you hold back and you only give 25% of your love to Krishna, he'll give 25% to you. And if you give 59%, he gives 59% of himself to you. So what do we want as Gaudiya Vaishnavas? 100%. And for that, we need inspiration. Like we like to hear the pastimes, how there's devotees who give 100% to Krishna, and Krishna gives 100% to them. We hear those pastimes. I want to be like you. Like when I was a young boy in America, we have this, it's called American football, where you throw the ball and you catch it like that. And one of my heroes was a major player in the National League in California, the San Francisco 49ers. His name was Y.A. Tittle. He was one of the biggest quarterbacks in American history. And my father met him because my father was in advertising business. So the 49ers asked my father to give them publicity. So I was over the moon. Dad, that means I get to meet Y.A. Tittle. Yes, son. It's like meeting Lord Brahma for a kid. So one day my father, he brought home Y.A. Tittle's autograph, and I took it to school. I charged all the boys $10 just to touch the autograph. And I told my dad one day, Father, I want to be just like him, a quarterback. So we give that false concept up when we come to Krishna consciousness, and we have our heroes. And who are our heroes? Fully surrendered devotees to Krishna. And we're inspired when we see how Krishna reciprocates with them. Like Hanuman. Jai Sri Ram! Jai Sri Ram! Jai Sri Ram! Jai Hanuman! Death to Ravana! You never heard that one before. So after all was said and done, Hanuman went to Lanka, he found Sita in the Ashok garden, and he came back and told Ram where she was, and the army of monkeys and bears, they marched to the end of this continent, and they built a bridge, and they got it up, and Hanuman was fighting very valiantly. So after that, Lord Ram, he had a ceremony where he thanked all the monkeys and the bears for their contribution. And Hanuman received some special recognition because he gave everything. He was even willing to risk his life for Ram. So Ram, said to Hanuman, how do I reciprocate with you? I mean, you've surrendered so much, you've given so much. What can I do? So their relationship is as master and servant, right? That's their particular relationship. Dasya, not Sakya ras, like friendship, or Vatsalya ras, like motherhood, or like Madhurya ras. All the rasas are nice because Krishna creates them like that. He likes those rasas. Variety is the spice of life. So what would a gopi want? If Krishna said, what can I give to you? What would Mother Yasoda want? But what did Hanuman want? He's a servant. So he said, Lord, really, I haven't done anything. I've just tried my best. What I really want is, can you give me a hug? For the master to embrace the servant, that's about as intimate it goes, right? So we see the picture, isn't it? Ram, it brings tears to your eyes. Ram is embracing his servant, Dasya, Hanuman, in love. And we're all inspired. I want to be like Hanuman. Or how about the lady, the simple lady, who was selling fruit in Vrindavan. And little Lala Krishna comes along, he has, I don't know what, something in his hand, a banana peel or something. He has payment for some fruits. So out of kindness, she gives him like all the fruits. Because Krishna by definition is all attractive. So Krishna went away with the fruits and she turned around. Her basket was full of jewels. All of them, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Or we hear how the cowherd boys, in fun, they walked into the belly of Aghasura, and Krishna rescued them. Or the gopis danced with Krishna because they're fully surrendered. They danced with Krishna for a night of Brahma. So we romanticize. I want to be embraced by Krishna like Hanuman. I want to see Krishna rescue me in the belly of Aghasura. Okay. But if we want that attention of the Lord, we have to have the same love for the Lord as those devotees. And when we do, we can love Krishna like they do, not once, but every day, forevermore. Now, it's interesting that in Braj, in Vrindavan, because we're Brajabasis. We're aspiring to be Brajabasis. We like all the incarnations, Narasimha, Bhagavan, Shri Ram. But in our hearts of hearts, Mahaprabhu, he came to this world to introduce what? Braj Bhakti. And through the 6 Goswamis, they elucidated on this whole idea of how the residents of Vrindavan, they love Krishna more than anyone's ever been loved before. And Krishna loves them more than anyone's ever been loved before. So the type of love you have in Vrindavan is different than the general spiritual world, which is, again, the mood of Aishwarya Bhav, worshipping the Lord in awe and reverence. Sir, yes sir, the master. Vrindavan's a little different. That mood is not there. It's more, Purnamasi, she, through her spiritual potency, she causes everyone to forget that Krishna is God. So they can play with him and wrestle with him, dance with him, etc. That's Vrindavan. It's more intimate. So that's our goal. So it's interesting to know how Krishna reciprocates with those Brajavasis. All of them, as they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. So if we get home, finally, home again, we get home to Vrindavan and we're fully surrendered, how will Krishna reciprocate with us then? This is the mind of a Vaishnava. He's projecting forward. There's no hope if you project forward, in the material world. Oh, one day I'll get a great education, IT, I'll go to Silicon Valley, I'll make lots of money, I'll get very wealthy, famous. Okay, it's true, but you're going to grow old. Government's going to take 75% of your money. You're going to die. It's a sad story. Dukkalayam ashashvatam, Krishna says in Gita. This is a temporary place full of so many miseries. So we be as responsible as we can to our body, to our family, to our society, to our country, to our environment. But we always remember, I'm on a journey home. That was the best title that His Holiness Radhanath Swami could have come up with. The journey home. What's he speaking about? Speaking about Vrindavan, Mayapur. Not even Vaikuntha, it's the official kingdom of God. Vrindavan is the playground of God. So, what's happening up there? Well, it's described by our acharyas. That in Vrindavan, the Lord reciprocates with the love of His devotees in different places. It's not all mixed, it's not a mixed bag. Like He relates to His parents, Nanda and Yashoda, elderly gopis, in the village of Vrindavan. But then Krishna's friend, he goes with his friends to the forest every day, and He relates to them in the pasturing grounds. Then He meets His gopis in the forest. Why? Because the moods are different. And you can't always mix the moods. It's called rasabhas. Rasabhas means to mix the moods. Like when Krishna goes to the forest with the cowherd boys, the residents of Vrindavan, the elderly gopis, Nanda Yashoda, they're feeling so much separation from Him. And in the afternoon when Krishna comes home, and he's with his parents in Nandagram, the boys are feeling separation from Him. Because you can't mix the rasas. It's called rasabhas. Like, it's a deep concept, but Prabhupada instructed us in this concept. I was only 19, 20 years old. I was in the temple in Paris, and we had Jagannath deities. We had Jagannath and Subhadra and Balaram like that. So then we installed Radha Krishna deities. And we had them lined up on the altar. We actually had Gaur Nitai, then we had Radha and Krishna, then there was Balaram, Subhadra, and Jagannath. So Prabhupada came in for darshan one year, and he looked at the altar. He was so angry. What have you done? I told him, we've been trying to do really good puja, All the 7 artiks a day were done, meticulously. The deities were dressed. The prasadam was fantastic. We had some French cooks, devotees who were French cooks. You would be amazed how they cooked Vedic prasadam. But then Prabhupada looked at the altar. He said, there's no demarcation, there's no curtain between Balaram and Radharani, between Radharani and the deity of Balaram. And I said, well, so what? Prabhupada said, the older brother cannot see the pastimes of the younger brother. It's not proper etiquette. It took me a while to consider, what's Prabhupada talking about? The elder brother shouldn't see the loving pastimes of the younger brother? So Balaram's right there. If you look on the altar, Balaram would be right next to Radharani. So Prabhupada said, put a curtain. Okay. It took me a couple of years to figure it out. But basically you don't mix the different rasas. This is deep, but we know who we are and we know where we're going. We don't pretend to be pure devotees, but because we know the details of the spiritual world, it keeps us away from being attracted to this world, because nothing can compare with Vrindavan. Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Calcutta, New York, Sydney, Rio de Janeiro. Believe me, I visited all these places. I was traveling sannyasi now 52 years. I've been everywhere. I love your city, but it doesn't compare to Vrindavan. One time Prabhupada told us, I've been everywhere and seen everything. Do you want my advice? We were like, 20 years old. Yep. I've been everywhere, I've seen everything. You want my advice? He said, yes. He said, take sannyas. So I did. So we need to be learned. Religion without philosophy is sentimental, and philosophy without religion is mental speculation. Prabhupada gave that slogan. We need to be learned. So even though we're in kindergarten in our spiritual lives, we know what the PhD is. To leave this world in full love of God. So how can you love someone? The goal of religion, after all, is to love God. You ask a Christian, you ask a Muslim, you ask a Jew, you ask any of the bona fide religions in this world. We accept they're bona fide. But with all due respect, here in confidence in our class, religion means to fall in love with God. But how can you fall in love with God if you know nothing about Him? Therefore, the whole world needs this ISKCON movement. Because we are teaching people, like Prabhupada said one time, we know so much about Krishna. His name, his fame, his form, his paraphernalia, his relationships, his family members. He said, in those days, this was the 60s, Prabhupada said, we even know his telephone number. I was thinking, what's that? Prabhupada said, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. And because of that bona fide information coming down from Guru Parampara, no speculation, it's very easy to fall out of love with Bangalore and into love with Vrindavan. With Krishna. So these things are important. So there's the boys in one part of Braj, Yashodananda, they're in one part of Braj, the gopis, it's a little, because they don't mix their eye. I thought that was interesting. So they can all enjoy without, any disturbance in their loving relationships. But I was also thinking there's rare cases when all the Brajabasis, all the ultimate pure devotees, the lovers of Krishna and the playground of God, they all do come together. I always thought, well, don't they ever get together? I mean, like, there are village festivals, like here in India, you have, people of different natures, but when there's a festival, they all come together. I saw it in Bengal, they have Durga Puja. Everybody comes. And so there are times, so is there a time in Vrindavan where like all the Brajabasis get together? Yes. When Krishna lifted Giriraj, Govardhan. Why did he do that? To protect the inhabitants of Vrindavan and to diminish the pride of Indra. Indra couldn't figure it out how, the Brajabasis stopped the annual sacrifice for him. He'd get all the rewards, like a king taxing the people. And Krishna said, no, this is Giriraj, we're getting everything from him, from the nice water, the flowers. Our cows love the grass at Govardhan Hill because it doesn't cut their tongues. This is why the cowherd boys like to take the cows to Govardhan Hill, because the grass is so soft, when the cows eat the grass, it doesn't cut their tongues like grass often does. And this is the most green, lush grass. So the milk produced from the cows who eat the grass at Govardhan, it's the richest milk. So Govardhan Hill, Ki Jai. So when Indra saw that they were going to worship Govardhan Hill as the source of their prosperity, Samvartaka clouds! Yes, sir. inundate Vrindavan. So it's all Leela, because when in distress, what do devotees do? Krishna, help! And if you say with real earnestness, Krishna will come. If you chant your rounds, Krishna, Krishna, Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. What's the difference if you chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. One time a devotee asked Prabhupada, well, many times devotees asked Prabhupada, what is the meaning of this Maha Mantra? And, usually Prabhupada would say, my Lord, my dear Lord, the energy of the Lord, please, pick me up from this ocean of death and make me your servant. But on that occasion, the devotee said, what does it mean, the Maha Mantra? Prabhupada closed his eyes. It means, my friend, my friend, my friend. So any instruction from the Acharya should go straight to the heart. Not that we think that we're on the level of being an intimate friend like, the cowherd boys. But a friend in need is a friend indeed, and Krishna is our friend because when we left the spiritual world, he's so kind. He traveled with us through every universe, through every species of life, through every body since time immemorial. It's the super soul in our hearts. What better friend could you have? He's waiting for you to surrender, and as soon as you surrender, he guides you to a bona fide spiritual organization like the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He's our friend. So when I heard that, when I chant my rounds now, I'm thinking, my friend, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like Prabhupada gave that analogy, that the baby's in the cradle, and it's kind of whimpering, it's got some colic, it's called, when you get the stomach, mothers, the babies have that. Mother's cooking milk, you can wait a little bit. But if some sarp in Hindi means snake, by the way. If some snake comes, sometimes in the villages, the snakes, they come in the cradle. Mother drops everything and runs to the baby. So if your chanting is like that, you don't have to be, I'm not calling you out of love, Krishna, I'm calling you out of danger. I'm drowning in this fathomless whirlpool of material existence. Oh Lord, you who give shelter to the shelterless, please, just this one time, won't you extend your hand to save me? Rupa Goswami, Padyavali, his verse book. We have to get to this point. We can't pretend to be pure devotees, but Krishna will come if we're in distress and we call him sincerely. That's why he expands himself as Nrsimha Day, particularly to protect the young devotees, the infants, on the path of devotional service so they can make it through this dangerous world without getting distracted and go back home, back to Godhead. He's got us covered. Everywhere Krishna's got us covered if we take to the process in all sincerity. So Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. And when he lifted Govardhan Hill, all Nanda Yashoda and all the elderly cowherd men and cowherd women, they're under the hill. And then the cowherd boys are also there because they could see the rains coming, so they drove their cows under Govardhan Hill. The cows are there, the cowherd boys are there, the servants are there, Nanda Yashoda's there, and gopis are there. This is the one time where everyone got together, like I heard Prabhupada say many occasions. In ISKCON, we're packed up tight. We're packed up tight because we're from different nations, different languages, different colors of skin. We're different externally, but internally we're all part of Prabhupada's International Society for Krishna Consciousness, where his Prabhupada Gana, like there's Gopi Ganas, different groups of we're Prabhupada's family in this great International Society for for Krishna consciousness. So we're all packed up tight and we feel ourselves as one family. So this was an historic occasion in Krishna Leela where all the residents in Vrindavan for the first time got to be together. And to go a little deeper, because love is in the details, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that the gopis were especially pleased with this opportunity. Because gopis, due to social custom and also to increase their desire to be with Krishna, they couldn't associate closely with Krishna like Nanda and Yashoda or the cowherd boys, because in Vedic culture the boys and girls didn't mix. So for a long time when they were young, they were just watching Krishna from a distance. It's called Purva Rag. Purva Rag means their love for Krishna's awakening even though they can't be with him. Even though they can't be with him. He would walk by with Balaram, with the cows on the way to the forest in the morning. Gopis are going to sell their milk products in the village, so all they could do was just a glance. Nothing else was tolerated. You can't walk over and talk to those boys. Boys can't talk to you. But a sidelong glance. That's all Shiva wants, isn't it? That famous Radhakripa Kataksha Kavacha. Shiva's thinking, if Radharani just glances at me, my life's perfect. And we used to think like that when Prabhupada was here too. We weren't thinking that I am qualified to take prasadam with Prabhupada or walk on the morning walk. But I remember if Prabhupada's on the Vyasasana, he just looks at you. Oh, my life's perfect. One time Prabhupada was giving a darshan at our farm community in France, New Mayapur. And there was 20 or 30 of us, and it was a beautiful evening. And Prabhupada was speaking how the devotee, he's speaking from the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Opulence of the Absolute, how we can see God's presence by the great things of this world. And he was saying a pure devotee sees Krishna everywhere. Oh, wow, okay. So then at the end Prabhupada said, are there any questions? So I just raised my hand because I wanted Prabhupada to know that I exist. He has so many disciples, and there were prominent disciples, and I was always working in the background, book distribution, Harinam, festivals like that, and I was feeling so fortunate to be in that darshan. I think, does Prabhupada even know I exist? So I thought, I raised I have a question. So then Prabhupada said, what is your question? I didn't have a question. I just raised my hand so Prabhupada would see me. Now I'm on the spot. So I thought, Prabhupada was talking about how a pure devotee sees Krishna everywhere. I thought, Prabhupada, you say pure devotee can see Krishna everywhere, but Lord Chaitanya, who appeared in the mood of a devotee, is feeling separation from Krishna. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes, like torrents of rain. I'm feeling all vacant in the world of the absence. I said, Prabhupada, it seems contradictory. On the one hand, we say the pure devotee sees Krishna everywhere, but the Lord in the mood of the best devotee says he can't see Krishna anywhere. I thought, how did I say that? I don't know. So Prabhupada looked at me for like a long time. I was like, whoa. He said, the idea is in separation one's love grows. He said, but you're all young boys and girls. He said, you keep practicing Krishna consciousness, and in course of time, you'll realize the answer to that question. So I went, wow, Prabhupada said one day I'll realize the answer to the question. Haribol! I haven't realized it probably it's many lifetimes away. But I wanted Prabhupada's attention. That was all. If the spiritual master acknowledges that, you've done some service, your life's perfect. Because Krishna is indebted when we do service. It's like if someone does service for you. You feel indebted to that person if you're a good person. So even the most smallest insignificant service is recognized and appreciated by the Lord, because for billions and billions and billions of lives, we did no devotional service. So if someone gives us the opportunity to wash the floor or clean the pots or clean the bathroom, it's part of the temple, we run for that service because it connects us again, just like you put the plug into the wall. You get the electricity. It's the service that connects us. And if you serve and you get purified, the love will come. It will come in time. So the gopis, they really liked this pastime of Govardhan Hill because they couldn't come very close. They're always looking. Krishna smile at them, and then if the parents weren't looking, gopis would smile. But that's all, a glance. But it's enough in Braj Leela, just a glance. So there was no direct association. Sometimes Krishna, with his friends, he would joke, how the boys like to tease girls. In my family, I had a brother and a sister, and I was the older brother, and then the younger brother, and my little sister. I called her Annie Banana. I don't know why, Annie Banana. We used to tease her to kingdom come. We just tease her, and even today she calls me up. You know, you're a big Swami now in the Hare Krishna movement. Do you remember you used to tease me when I was a little girl? You should reciprocate. So Krishna would sometimes tease the gopis. He'd meet them at some place and he'd say, what are you girls doing here? I'm the son of the king and we're going to tax you. You're going to tax us, Krishna? Yes, we're going to tax you. And then these Dan Keli, these pastimes would, but nothing too close. So, Sarvataka clouds, rain falling. Krishna, help! And everyone knew that Krishna was lifting Giryaj, Govardhan, Lala, Vamsiwala, Ki. So they went there. So that was their first close contact. And they were very happy with that. Everyone, like Prabhupada said, ISKCON packed up tight. All the Brajabasis. It's just a detail, of course, but these are the kind of things we like to hear about the kingdom of God. You ask another religion, what's the kingdom of God like? It's in the clouds. Like anything more, yeah. God's on a chair up there, and if you go up there, and if you're good, you can stay there in the clouds, and if you're bad, you have to go down to the fire. It's a basic understanding. It worked, like 2,000 years ago. But now people are more educated. The world's educated. We're looking for, we're researching deeper. Science and technology have helped us in many ways, actually, to live a little bit more comfortable life. So people are inquiring. There's a lot of people inquiring all over the world, I can tell you. I've been to the four corners of this earth. I've met the rich and the famous. I met the poor and the downtrodden. I've met people from all different cultures and lifestyles. But many of them are asking questions now. Who am I? Where have I come from? What happens at death? Does God exist? And this movement can provide the answers and more to all those questions. We have a big responsibility, this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, to solve people's problems. And to give them the higher taste they're looking for, spiritual, and the perfect questions, perfect answers to perfect questions. And that's why it's so nice that you're establishing a good foundation here in India, because India is meant to be the beacon of light for the whole world. That's the translation of Bharat. You want to change the name of your country from India to Bharat? Very good. Bharat was a famous king ages ago. Bharat also means in Sanskrit light. It's a subtropical country, there's a lot of light, but what is actually meant is the light of transcendental knowledge. Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam. This is India's gift to the world. The knowledge that can solve all the problems of life and can reveal the divine abode of God. So when we come to India and we see now so many devotees coming forth, so many temples, so many deities being established, it's very nice, actually. I know that Bhakti Churu Maharaj told me that Prabhupada told him in a moment of intimacy. Prabhupada said, I went to the West on the order of my Guru Maharaj. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to spread the Krishna conscious movement in the English-speaking language. And he said, I did. Now I have 108 temples around the world. And Prabhupada went above and beyond the call of duty because, the order was from Guru Maharaj, English. And Prabhupada spread it in French, German, Spanish, Japanese, Zulu. In Zulu, we have Bhagavad Gita in Zulu. My friend was the king of the Zulus. He passed away recently, King Goodwill. We became friends. He was the king of 60 million Zulu warriors. And we had a conversation one day. He said, Maharaj, what is your name for the God? I said, excuse me, I couldn't understand his language. What is the name for the God? Oh, I said, Krishna. He said, okay. And I said, King Goodwill, what, in your tradition, what is the name for God the Father? He said, Akulukula! Akulukula! This is Zulu. I said, oh. I said, well, what does that mean? What does Akulukula mean? He said, it means that person who owns the most cows. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Gomata ki! So we have these details. God's not just sitting on a chair with, in the sky and with a beard and getting old and pointing to Adam. No, he never ages beyond 16. He's nayovanam cha, eternally youthful. People are hankering for this knowledge. And we Western, I was going to say boys and girls, I'm 75, we old men and women, we're trying to share this message with the world, and we feel so much satisfaction when we see that Krishna consciousness is going on nicely here, because Prabhupada told Bhakti Maharaj, he said, I went to the West in the order of my Guru, and I was successful. Now I'm coming back to India to revive Vedic culture, to revive Krishna consciousness in this country, because this country is meant to lead the world in spiritual life. So each in our own way, we're fulfilling Prabhupada's desire. You're reviving this Vedic culture here. And we're spreading it around the world. This is brotherhood. We're working. Sankirtan means everybody has a particular service like that. So, when we go to the West and we share these things with people, what God looks like, who are his associates, what do they do? People they're shocked. They're very, very grateful, actually. And I go into great detail, actually. And I explain, as Prabhupada, in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's talking how you can associate with God in Goloka Vrindavan, way beyond the religious philosophies in modern times. He says you can be a servant of God, you can be a friend of God, you can become a lover of God. This is revolutionary concept. And when I tell people that, we call the topmost planet Goloka Vrindavan, the planet of cows, they go, cows are important in the spiritual world? I say, oh yes. I said, the cows in this world, Prabhupada said, are the cousins of the cows in the spiritual world. And Krishna, I tell them, you want to become a lover of God? You should follow in the footsteps of the cows. Like, what? The Christian people tell me, I want to be a cow? Yes. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya. let's get real here. In the spiritual world, Krishna spends most of his time not with the brahmanas. He leaves the town while the priests are doing their pujas, to Vishnu, how they do. He leaves Vrindavan the whole day, from 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. He's with the cows, not a herd of brahmanas. He's with the cows. Krishna loves the cows very much. They're very dear to him. We shouldn't think that they're like in a mundane way. They're fully liberated, they're nitya siddhas, they're eternally liberated souls. And their rasa with Krishna is as cows. To play with the cows, herd the cows, milk the cows, chase the bulls. Just try to understand. We think, I want to be gopi, I want to be cow. There's 900,000 cows in the Goshala of Nanda Maharaj. There's many, maybe some of you are cows. You better listen up. When you get your Siddha Deha, when by the mercy of Prabhupada and the holy name, you realize who you are. My friend's a gopi, I'm a cowherd boy. We're talking a million years ahead here. And me, But don't think of them in that way. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says the cows in the spiritual world, they come from two categories. Eternally liberated souls and yogis or mystics, bhaktas, who through the process of sadhana have become perfected. They can also become or revive their original nature as cows. Now listen to how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about these cows. Not like their cousins, we love the cows of this world. We worship the cows. But listen to how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes those nitya siddhas, those living entities who have that rasa with Krishna. He says they are like chintamani jewels, these cows, that fulfill all desire. Their mooing is the most beautiful poetry. What? Because it's done in pure devotion. Their happy calves are like pleasant summers. That's deep. They always lift their ears to hear Krishna's flute. As they wander the earth, because sometimes they come to descend in Krishna's pastimes, they resemble the bubbles of the milk ocean. Wow. Sarabi cows resemble the bubbles of the milk ocean. Okay. They resemble the chuckles of Lord Shiva and the infant children of moonlight. I'm just repeating Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, whose illustrious disciple was Baladev Vidyabhusana. When I heard that, I couldn't understand it all, but I thought, wow, those Sarabi cows are special. And the cows of Nanda Maharaj, they're broken into 108 groups with 4 main colors. Some are white, some are red, some are black, and some are yellow. Their horns are decorated with gold. Their hooves are decorated with sapphires. Their tails are decorated with peacock feathers. Wow. I want to be a cow. They wear necklaces of Navaratna. You know Navaratna in astrology, the 9 planets, you have the 9 stones. They have necklaces. And some of them have crowns made of jewels. And the cows that accompany Krishna every morning to the forest are personally selected by Krishna. Today you can come, today you can come, today you can't come. That seems mean, but much of the mood in Vrindavan is separation makes the heart grow fonder. There's different ways that Purnamasi arranges. You can't be with Krishna. But because you're in love with Krishna, every moment you're just feeling so much separation and your love increases. And aware of the good fortune, the cows who go to the forest every day with Krishna, 900,000 cows, aware of the good fortune, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says they walk with their heads up. Just like we see sometimes a person who has very good fortune in this world, he'll walk like this. Prabhupada would walk like that. He would walk with his head raised because he had the supreme good fortune of being Krishna's humble representative. When a disciple asked Srila Prabhupada on the beach of Juhu one day, they were taking a walk, Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya appeared in this world to spread Krishna consciousness. He's God. He could have spread this movement all over the world in one moment. Why didn't he do that? So Prabhupada stopped, put his cane in the sand. He said, why didn't Lord Chaitanya spread Krishna consciousness all over the world? Because he wanted me to do it. So Prabhupada would walk like that. It wasn't pride. But he was proud to be a devotee of Krishna, humble servant of Krishna. So that when the cows walk, so you have to learn about Braj. You have to learn. You want to go home, you have to know what your home's like. Home is where the heart is. And by Shravanam, Kirtanam comes Krishna Smarana, by hearing and chanting this authorized knowledge. So the cows, they walk with their heads up and their tails are erect. You've seen cows when they're happy? They're smiling in all directions. And they cast happy glances at everyone they pass by. Wow. Can you imagine? You're walking past a cow, moo. And his Nitya Siddha, pure devotee. As much as we want the glance of Shri Radha, we want the glance of those Sarabi cows. They're all enlightened saints. As demonstrated, it's described by Vishwanath that when Krishna takes a nap with his friends in the afternoon, he puts his head on the lap of a cowherd boy and goes into Yoga Nidra. So what do the cows do? They form a circle around Krishna to guard him. So they're an intimate part of his pastimes. And his love for the cows is always increasing, ad infinitum, and the cows' love for Krishna is increasing. This is called Ananda Buddhi Bharavanam. Ever increasing love in the spiritual world. It's a little difficult. This has been a kind of a deep lecture, but I've been lecturing on Vrindavan for 4 years, so it's kind of hard for me to go back to the lectures. You're not the body, karma, reincarnation. You get older, you're hankering, I want to get out of here. We study and speak on Braj. Srila Prabhupada said one time in a lecture, I wrote it down, it is impossible for us to fully understand the infinite happiness relished in bhakti because it is beyond the realm of anything we can experience in our finite existence. But we have to have full faith that this bhav, this love, which is the visa to the spiritual world, will come in due course of time by following the regulative principles, by having Vaishnava Sangha, by cooking prasad and preparing it and offering it to our deities, and primarily by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. And we have to be patient. Vasudeva Sivamiti, Krishna says, after many, many lifetimes. But what is many lifetimes compared to the quadrillion, bazillion years we've been in this world? It's nothing. So let us be a little patient and wait for that day that Krishna may appear before us, however many lifetimes it may take. And in this regard, patience. Rupa Goswami describes in Nectar of Devotion. We have to be patient. He said, just like when a man and a woman marry, they want children. Prabhupada said, what is household life without children? The parents want the little children, but the wife has to become pregnant. That doesn't always happen so quickly. And then you have to wait 9 long months. The man's got the easy part. The lady's carrying this big, heavy burden. Not a burden, this burden of love for 9 months. And finally, so in that way, Prabhupada said some patience is required in the affairs of this world. What to speak? We're like infants in the womb of the process of Krishna consciousness. We have to be patient. And in this regard, patient for waiting for Krishna. And I thought a nice way to end the lecture today would be to share with you the inspiration I found from Lautha Baba. Lautha Baba. Who's Lautha Baba? Some Baba somewhere in the Himalayas? No. Lautha Baba. At the southernmost tip of Govardhan Hill, if you've been there, you'll know there's a famous deity of Lautha Baba. Little cowherd, boyfriend of Krishna. Lautha Baba, in that deity form, remember deities are non-different, he's been waiting for Krishna there at the tip of Govardhan Hill for 5,000 years. That's patience. How so? Well, one day, on that day, let us say, the Akura was taking Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. It's a sad story. It's a sad story. Krishna and Balaram were leaving Vrindavan. We could lecture for days on that. The emotions of the Vrindavan residents, that Krishna's leaving us. As much as you're attached to something, when you lose it, you feel the pangs of separation. If you lose a little Timex watch or Swatch watch, oh. But if you have a Rolex or something, your Korpati, you have a Rolex, my watch, oh. It's a very mundane analogy. But if you love Krishna more than anything's ever been loved before, and Krishna leaves, so the whole of Vrindavan's an uproar. Krishna and Balaram are going to Mathura on the invitation of Kamsa for a wrestling match. And Krishna said, I'll be right back. So, not everyone knew what was happening. This cowherd boy, Lautha Baba, he was at the tip of Govardhan Hill to meet his friend Krishna, because they would have daily pastimes. A lot of pastimes take place at Giriyash, Govardhan Hill. Lots of pastimes are there. Some of the majority of the pastimes happen at Govardhan Hill. So in the southern Pancheri, the tip of Govardhan, Krishna would come every day and play with his cowherd boyfriends. So Lautha Baba, he came that day to meet his friend Krishna as usual, unaware that the two brothers, Krishna and Balaram, were departing to Mathura in the chariot of Akura. So when Krishna and Balaram finally appeared, they were not like usual with the friends and their cows. They were riding in the chariot of Akura. So confused, Lautha Krishna, he said, Krishna, where are you, Balaram, going? Where's all the cows? Where's all the boyfriends? Yeah, what's going on? What are you doing in a chariot? Where are you going? So Krishna answered, my dear friend, Kamsa has asked us to visit Mathura for a wrestling match. So Lautha Baba, he said, but when are you going to come back? Because in the Shikshastakam we hear how a moment's separation for a pure devotee is unbearable from Krishna. That's love. You don't get that love here. One moment's separation. So his natural question, when are you coming back? Krishna said, well, sometime soon, probably the day after tomorrow. So Lautha Baba was bewildered, because Krishna had never left Vrindavan before. And he never wrestled with anyone except cowherd boys, and now he's going to Mathura to wrestle. Yeah. I had a late night last night. So Lautha Baba thought, how will Krishna fare against such wrestlers? Chanura, I've heard about him. So thinking that he could convince Krishna not to leave Vrindavan, like the gopis, they laid down in front of the chariot, ready to give up their lives. No, Krishna. There's a prayer, Mathura Mangalam, in Arian. It goes on for 7 days about how the gopis were, pleading with Krishna not to go. None of the Yasoda were coming and crying, and like this. It was just such love, such bhakti. So Lautha Baba is thinking, how can I get Krishna to stay here? So what he did is he offered his lunch. It was around noontime. Lautha Baba, because the gopis, they prepare lunches for the little lalas, the little children. So Lautha Baba, he said, his lunch, he said, my mother cooked some delicious kachoris. So come on, get off the chariot, sit down and let's share them. But Krishna had a different plan. And Krishna's eyes welled up with tears. He wanted to stay out of love for this cowherd boy. But he had to go, there was no choice. So crying torrents of tears, Krishna said, Lautha Baba, give us your lunch and we'll eat it on the way. So Lautha Baba immediately placed his lunch bag into Krishna's trembling hands. If you're determined to go, Lautha Baba said, then I'll wait here until you come back. And if you don't come back the day after tomorrow, I'll stay here until you do. And by this time, Lautha Baba was also crying. And as the chorus started the chariot, Krishna asked Lautha Baba, what will you eat when I'm away? You see the love exchange of love? This is God. The Almighty, the Creator, the Maintainer, the Destroyer, Sir. And he's worried about his devotee not having a lunch the next day. This is the intimacy of Vrindavan. So what will you eat? Lautha Baba replied, I won't have an appetite, Krishna, until you come back. So Krishna smiled and said, then I will pray to Lord Narayan that even if you don't eat, you won't lose weight and you won't be hungry. These are the only dialogues we want to hear. We're not interested in the mundane fiction, non-fiction of this world, the newspaper reports, the politics. We just want to hear this because just hearing it, something's coming, that the heart is changing, isn't it? So then the chariot started to go away, and Lautha Baba, he's like a 5-year-old boy, he's waving to Krishna, bye-bye Krishna. And Krishna's in the chariot turning around, bye-bye Lautha Baba. And it's said in some shastras, the general opinion is, Krishna never returned to Vrindavan. So, Lautha Baba is still there at the tip of Govardhan Hill, the southern tip, waiting for Krishna to return. And he's standing there motionless, looking at the direction of Mathura. This, my friends, is Braj Bhakti. Hare Krishna. So after hearing these nectarian descriptions of the spiritual world, how Krishna so adequately reciprocates with his devotees. And we're speaking from the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, just see. That's only the 4th chapter. We should also immediately abandon our false attachments to this world and follow in the footsteps of the eternal residents of Vrindavan. It doesn't mean we leave our home, our families, our jobs, no. We need a foundation from which to become, from neophyte devotees to Madhyamadhikaris. We need these things, so we have devotee wife, devotee husband, devotee children, we have an altar, we have prasadam in this way, so we don't need to change anything. Just stay as you are, be as you are, but fully focus on the primary way to become like Lautha Baba and cry for Krishna. That all comes from chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. And don't think these things I've been sharing with you about cows having, peacock feathers on their tails and crowns on their head and talking with Krishna and, Indradev inundating Vrindavan with torrents of rain and all. Don't think this is all, you'll find Indologists in the universities who think they know everything about India, Indologists. They know nothing. We can only know from a resident of Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada. So everything I have said is factual, and there's more and more and more. I concluded yesterday, one of my god sisters, very early in the movement, She questioned Srila Prabhupada, you say He's the original person, but He's still a young boy. And he steals. He steals butter. And he steals the hearts of gopis. and he lifted a mountain with the little finger of his hand, and he's blue, like a monsoon cloud. And is it all true? Like that, she said. And Prabhupada paused for a moment and he said, my dear daughter, do you think I would cheat you? Do you think I would cheat you? And we had enough love for Prabhupada, infinite amount of love for Prabhupada. Somehow, Prabhupada captured our hearts, and as young, strong athletes, and MIT University, and goals ahead of us, and money in the bank, and make America great again. We gave it all up because of Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, before you came to my movement, you were actually, at least where I came from, San Francisco, you were dirty, unregulated, attached to sinful activity, bewildered, confused. He said, downtrodden. He said, but now that you've come to this ISKCON movement, you look just like you've come from Vaikuntha. And he said, you were who you were. But when you heard the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, you all came running! Haribo! So let us know that we're here only by causeless mercy. Even here in Bharat, which is being so much influenced by Western way of life, you were also rescued. You were also rescued by Srila Prabhupada. So we have a great debt to Srila Prabhupada. There's many more to be rescued. This is a small gathering. We should be having these programs in front of tens of millions, like football stadiums or soccer stadiums or rugby or cricket stadiums. We should have cricket stadiums every morning for Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we thank Prabhupada for our good fortune. We're not going to sit on our laurels and talk about what we've accomplished. There's much to be done. Let's get out there. Let's preach, and internally, let us become pure devotees. Prabhupada wanted us to preach, but he also wanted each one and every one of us to become pure devotees and join him in his eternal Leela in the spiritual world. So, thank you very much. Shri Vrindavan Dhama ki, Shri Baba ki, Lautha Baba ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtan Yagya ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Jagannath Subhadra Baladeva ki, Giriraj Gona Lala Vamsewala ki, Jai Jai Sri Radhe, Jai Jai Sri Radhe, Jai Jai Sri Radhe, Shan, Jai Shri Ram, Hare Krishna.